Good evening, boys and girls, no matter where in the world you might be. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. We're back. It's Monday Madness, and my goodness, is there a lot to unpack. Let's roll.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. We've been a little off kilter with our schedule. Of course, I've been here in the grand old UK, heading home tomorrow, so things will get back to normal just a little bit. I'm joined once again by my podcast brother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell in the house.
Squaddies, good to see you and at ease. Let's go. Important one today.
It is. Kev, I'm actually wearing a little pajama top because we've got a Greek pajama jam after this. We're having a Greek meal extravaganza before I head back to sunny Southern California. Although, let me just say, England's weather while I've been here, Kev, has been sensational. Wow.
See, you brought it with you. We take it. You take it.
Haven't had to pull out the umbrella not once, Super Kev.
That's a blessing.
My pajama top says dreams. And that's something we Arsenal fans have a lot of, dreams, to get back to where we need to. We've got all the usual suspects in the house. Let's just say quick good evening. We've got Trev. We've got Lynn. And by the way, Kev, there's Magic. He won't leave you alone. He won't leave you alone because I do have a little something to share with the squaddies. This happened earlier. Where is it? Should be here somewhere. This happened earlier today, Kev.
Yep. That was at the local O'Shea's in Manchester. Linked up with the boys and the lovely, smart Steph, who is with Magic Mike's lovely wife. And we had an absolutely ball of a time today. Absolutely great time. We dissected everything, so they gave me plenty to think about for tonight's show. So
I absolutely love it. And trust me, I had a long time to digest my thoughts on the drive back from Manchester to London. It's a long drive home when you lose, Kev. It always is.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
As a player, I know you know what that feels like. So let's get stuck into things, shall we? Good evening, Mo. Good evening, Mr. Arsenal. Good evening, Tammy. Good evening, Craig. Hello, everyone. We're going to get your comments up as quickly as we can. Let's start with the obvious, Kev. It was a horrific weekend for VAR.
You're being kind. You're being kind, Sophie.
Yeah.
You're being kind.
I was just talking to our good friend Aaron Paul on BBC Radio London, and we were talking about VAR and dissecting everything. If I may say so, I think the team that got hard done by the most was West Ham. I've never seen a worse decision. Declan Rice was 100% correct to call that out. Should never have to be made to apologise. I know you've been on various shows. You have your own thoughts. Just talk me through what you think of the weekend, from the Brighton game to the West Ham game to pretty much most games in the Premier League were touched by VAR, and of course us. Before we get to our game, where do we go from here, Kev?
So I think Newcastle as well were that Newcastle decision, by the way. And do you know what? It started last week, the Newcastle decision for Isaac's goal at Anfield, the second one, what he scored.
Beautiful goal that was, wasn't it, Kev?
Right. And obviously went to VAR and got disallowed. So it's been more than the weekend. West Ham are going to be upset. When you see it, you just think to yourself, come on, that's nowhere a foul. The Newcastle one, Mitchell fouls Mitchell fouls, what's his name? Willock. Mitchell pushes Willock in the back. So, Newcastle, it should have stood. Look, we can dissect it all we like. So we can look at the soft stuff that was given. But the bottom line is this, Sophie. I've said it on here many times. I don't like VAR because it's brought in to make things easier and to get decisions right. And it's still getting things wrong in a big way. One, there's a lack of transparency, Sophie. So, like other sports, who you can hear what they're saying and work out what's going on. Two, when the referee makes a decision on the field, the referee's right there and sees the decision. For instance, Odegaard's challenge, he didn't even give a free kick. So if you don't give a free kick in normal play and then you go to VAR, listen, he's given it, which is soft, right? It's a soft one. Any pro, well, majority of pros see that, say that's nowhere near a foul. And for me, and I don't want to go too much into this because we're going to cover it, for me, the first goal yesterday was always going to be so important. So important. Especially for Arsenal, especially. And again, we feel hard done by because of that. It's easy for people to turn around and say, look, VAR got it right. It was a foul, but it was a real soft one. Really soft. And do you know what, Sophie? I would rather them scrap it, if I'm honest with you, because I keep hearing people say it's not the technology, it's the people behind it. Well, it's the whole kit and caboodle who's involved. It goes to VAR and they cannot get it right. So whether it's the people behind it or it's the technology, it's the same thing. And it's not good enough. It is not. Because you know why, Sophie? Abroad, they get it right the majority of the time. So why is it that the Premier League, the so-called biggest and best league in the world, cannot get it right? And it's not transparent. The only reason it's not transparent, Sophie, is because there's skullduggery going in the background.
So in MLS, they get it right. In rugby, they get it right. In the NFL, they get it right. In tennis, they get it right. In Bundesliga, they get it right. And you're right, Kev. And I've been speaking about this ad nauseum for 24 hours, is how is it the most watched sporting league in the world gets it wrong? And do you remember a good friend of the show, Gunnar Russ, who I don't think is going to be able to be on in the chat box tonight, when he was on our show with Fergus from Guns and Yellow Ribbons and Dan Potts and yourself and myself, he did this breakdown of where the referees live and where they're from. 2 referees yesterday managing the game from where? Manchester. Now, listen, I'm not calling them out here for that, but how can that be? Why don't you get 2 referees from Birmingham or Wales or Scotland? Like when we watch the World Cup and the Euros, Kev, the referees, you would never get a Portuguese referee refereeing a Portuguese game.
The national team.
You would not get that. And also, Kev, the VAR referee, and Squaddies, help me remember his name, the referee who was the VAR on the monitor on the at wherever Stockley Park was one of the refs that made a hellacious mistake the day prior in another game. Now, if a player screws up, makes a terrible foul, misconduct, gets a yellow card or a red card, banned. So a referee makes a mistake that the powers that be admit that they have made terrible errors this weekend, which, by the way, we'll get to, because that is, for me, is bogus. I don't want to hear it. You've cost West Ham points. You may have cost points for Arsenal. You could have cost points.
Newcastle.
Van Dijk's hellacious tackle during the Merseyside derby. You've cost teams points this weekend. We don't want your apologies. We want a table where referees get yellow cards, red cards, a la Highbury Squad style, or they get banned, they get relegated. How does a VAR referee from the weekend who's made a terrible mistake get to be in the booth, Kev, for our game on Sunday? How is that? And then people want to question why fans say conspiracy theories.
So, listen, to me...
Lee Mason, thank you, Demsek.
To me, Soph, I look at it and I just say it's rogue. It's a rogue organization that's going on within the professional game, because it's something that you're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to cover, you're not allowed to criticize. So they're rogue. They can do what they want, can't they? They just do what they want and then fob you off with, oh, we made a mistake. No, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. And do you know what, Sophie? It's going to turn people off the game. It is going to turn people off the game. It is, because there's a lot of people spend a lot of money to go to football, and these things come in to improve the game. It's actually making it so much worse. It's actually killing the game, Soph. It is killing the game, because at the end of the day, if you're West Ham, Newcastle, Villa to an extent, although the referee blew the whistle beforehand, right? Everton, us, you're questioning. Things like that can make a real change to your season. It can change your season, but it's not as if it's hard. It's a hard decision to make. So they're not hard decisions to make. So again, it's a rogue organization that is officiating or being the VAR decision maker of our game, and it's killing it. You know what? I've said it on here before. I'm sick to the back teeth of VAR. I am sick to the back teeth. Be transparent or scrap it. It's simple as that, because the transparency keeps everybody in the loop.
So I want to talk about the transparency and the consistency, because we're going to get onto the game. And you know, and I know you, we never make excuses for our team, right? We never do. But first goals in games against teams like Manchester United, when you've got a terrible record at Old Trafford and you're playing a team that is just getting itself together, that matters. And I know how much it matters, because I was in the middle of a celebration. I don't know what happened, Kev, when Gabby scored. This guy, I mean, they have the safe standing at Old Trafford. People were everywhere. It was old school football celebration.
Yeah.
I was kissing people I've never met before. I was hugging people I've never met before. I could care less about anything. The euphoria and the moment. And all I could think of was, wow, you took that away from us. And it really felt like, even though we carried on singing, even though we carried on chanting, you could see the look in our eyes. We were like, oh, okay, it's going to be one of those
doing
days.
That to us, you're doing that to us again.
At Old Trafford. And I know here's my issue, consistency. Let's start there. McTominay pretty much WWE'd Jesus to the ground. Mm-hmm. Did not get a card for that.
I think he did.
Oh, did he get a card for that?
That's the one he got a card for. There were many others.
There was one previous to that. Harry Maguire on Nketiah. If you're going to call the foul on Odegaard, then you've got to call the foul on Nketiah and give that penalty. In the Brighton game, similar situation to Odegaard, stood. Brighton went on, scored a goal. That's the issue that fans have. Fans don't have an issue as much. They have an issue with VAR, of course, but what they have, the biggest issue, Kev, is the inconsistency. How can you see it one way in one game and another in another? This is the part that just blows my mind, because if I'm going to be fair, at the time, I was like, how is that a foul? When I came home and I watched Match of the Day, I'm like, I can see why VAR did that. But when the referee didn't call it on the pitch, and now we're judging the game in slow motion on a replay, that's not why VAR was created, was it, Kev?
No, it wasn't. But again, we're talking about consistency. And once it goes to the monitor, then it's down to the referee. It's down to the referee what he does. And somebody just put in the chat there, which you put up, Ramsdale goal against the goal against us against Villa. That's a free kick all day long. That is a free kick all day long. He's grabbed the goalkeeper like that to block him, to impede him. That's a free kick. Now, I'll go even one before Odegaard. The first challenge, real challenge of the game by Martinez on Jesus. That's a yellow card all day long. Jesus bullies his way past him, gets it in the corner, and he takes him out. No card. So you set a precedent from there, don't you? You set a precedent. Okay, you're going to let things go. That's no problem. Odegaard makes the challenge on Eriksen. Play on. Arsenal go through and score. All right, go to the monitor. But I think we've seen it only a couple of times where the referee sticks to his decision. So he sticks to his decision. It would have been easy for the referee to stick to his decision.
That happened in the Forest game. The referee stuck to his decision.
Right. About the penalty.
Correct.
Stick to your decision. But this is the weakness of some of these officials. They go there. It's Man United are at home, and he changes the decision. That, to me, is so inconsistent. Because he's right there on the pitch and didn't give it. So, listen, we have to look at not only VAR, but we got to look at the referees as well. So, not going to let them get away with it. And as you said, the 2 of the 4 officials were from Manchester, which is a big no-no from the start. But okay, when you make a decision on the pitch, that's right in front of you, and then you go and change it by VAR. To me, that seems corrupt to me. That seems corrupt to me because he
didn't see it, Kev. He didn't see it in real time, and I agree with you 100%. Let me address something right now to our resident Spurs fan in the house. Be very careful tonight because I'm not suffering any falls. If this happened to you, and it will happen to you, it will happen to every team in the Premier League. We know why we lost. Sensible Arsenal fans know that.
Yeah. We're not discussing the loss. We're not talking about the loss yet.
We're not even doing that yet. Right? The problem is, if you have consistency, that goal isn't disallowed and the Arsenal go 1-0 up. It's a totally different game. And let's swing into this because, Kev, this referee, I was there. He had a horrific game officiating. Man United fans, okay, let me tell you about Old Trafford, and you've all been there. Roy Keane called them prawn sandwich fans. Arsenal fans yesterday were singing the Library song to them and doing the shh. They were horrific. Rewind back to the worst time under Wenger at the Emirates and the worst time under Emery and the struggles during maybe some of the Arteta period. And Old Trafford, we outsung them, we out-hearted them, we out everything them. The only time Manchester United fans got engaged in the game singing for their team was at 75 minutes when they were winning the game. I was so proud to stand next to my Arsenal fans at Old Trafford yesterday. They sang their hearts out, and I got to experience an away game that I've seen from afar and loved. And we've complimented the fans on, Kev. Yeah. 10 out of 10s, 11 out of 10s. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Even again, when we go down, they're singing their hearts out. And it was such a shame that the contest wasn't even for Arsenal, because it was the small things in the game too, Kev. The itsy bitsy teeny weeny tackles. The beginning of the second half, there was a situation where Saka and Ben White immediately took the ball to the corner flag at the away end. And they had the ball. And there was a small kind of tackle, and the referee and the linesman called it against us. And at that point, the Arsenal fans were like, we got no chance today. None. I never complain about officials. I never make excuses. And at the end of the day, is that the reason we lost? We're going to get onto that. But when you have that challenge as a player, Kevin, you're playing in that game, please take me into the match when you've got that type of officiating. And I thought for the first time, our players kind of kept their heads and kept it together. But it was really hard for them to do that, because to me, as I'm witnessing the match live, it was a tough watch to see that.
Well, what you got to remember, Sophie, is it's them against us, remember. The travelling support, the players, the directors, and everybody who travel, all the Arsenal fans who travel, it's us against the world. It's us against Manchester United, their crowd, and the officials. That's what it turned out to be. And no excuse. We don't make excuses, because we're going to get onto why we lost, right? But when there's certain things that happen in the game, i.e. the first challenge on Jesus, i.e. the goal, Martinelli goal, coming back and it be getting chalked off because the referee weren't strong enough to stick to his guns of the decision. And then you start to see little things creep in. Things go the home way. And, fair enough, certain things can go the home way. Look, United are a big club, etc. But when two big clubs do battle, it's important. It's important that it's fairer. I think that's the understanding part. It's fairer. Fair enough. It's not 75-25. It's more 60-40. Right? It's more 60-40. But Sophie, again, as a player, what you got to do, you're always saying to yourself, always got to make sure we stay in the game. You've got to stay in the game. And Arsenal started the second half, equalised, and it looked like Arsenal were going to push on. We were the dominant team. Again, Sophie, it's a very difficult one to talk about sometimes, because normally if we don't play well, or like last season, I know you said, why didn't we just push on and go for the win? But this year, we play well. We do push on. We look like the team who's gonna advance and go on and win the game. But they have got quality players, and if you let their quality players influence, they can hurt you. And they were clinical, and we weren't.
So we're going to get onto that now. We're going to park the VAR thing, because it's not going to go away, guys. We're going to be dealing with this all season, and it's inexcusable that they can't. Yeah, Kev.
Let's just say this, Sophie. Arsenal versus Manchester United should be about the football.
Yeah.
And here it is. And all weekend, what is the headline of a lot of these games? VAR and refereeing.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. It should be about the football.
300 plus of you in live chat on this fine Monday evening. We've missed you guys. Thanks for all your kind messages and outreach. I know you've missed us, and we've missed you as well. Trust me. Our normal schedule will resume over the next couple of days when I get back home as well. Thank you for all your support and all of the lovely notes that you have sent. Hit that like button. I've missed this guy, that's for sure, Kev.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So, you know, do a favor for Vinny. He was a bit poorly yesterday, so give him some love. And of course, Vespa, who's surviving in the Southern California heat right now. I tell you what, Ramsdale's passing yesterday was sensational. Let's talk about the game, right? Where do I start? I start with, I don't want to keep talking about how well we played and we lost, right? And I'm going to try and, I know. So I'm going to try and encapsulate this, Kev. This to me felt very similar to the Manchester City game at home at the Emirates. Mm-hmm. We dominated, we played well, we moved the ball well. We did all the right things. But you said to me in that game, Soph, can't finish your dinner, you're not going to win the game.
Very true.
And there was a phenomenal chance for Saliba, and he whiffed. There was a great chance in the second half where Saka hit it across the goal, should have scored. There were so many moments in that game.
There's one where Jesus cut it back for Odegaard.
Whiffed it. I mean, that was a terrible whiff. Kev, we had 47 touches in the box. Mm-hmm. 40. They had 13. Mm-hmm. I know we have we got a throwing coach, we've got a set piece coach. I think we need a shooting coach. I'm watching games. I'm watching Mitrovic shoot from outside the box. I'm watching Brighton players shoot. Sometimes, why isn't Saka just lacing it? Too foo-foo, too many passes, too much mayonnaise, not enough mustard, Kev.
What? Hey, Sophie, do you know, sometimes I was at the game, as you know, and I watched, and there were times when we did shoot and it got blocked, and there were times where we shot and it went over. Unfortunately, Sophie, we just weren't clinical enough. Now, you could put that down to a whole host of stuff. One thing I could tell you now, players don't want to miss. Players do not want to miss. So when opportunities come, they're trying to hit the target, they're trying to score, but we weren't clinical. And when you're not clinical, I've always said it on here, when you're on top, you've got to score. You've got to score to put your dominance on the opposition. And unfortunately, Sophie, we couldn't do it. Played well, yes, up to a point, up to even getting in the box. But, you know, we've got to be clinical, especially in the big games, because the big teams will be clinical against us majority of the time. And unfortunately, you know, we got caught. We got caught a couple of times, and it made the score look a lot better for Manchester United. Good luck to them. You know, deserved it in the end because they're clinical. But for Arsenal, I'm not despondent. That's one thing I'm not. I saw more than enough in that game to make me feel, do you know what? We're going to be all right. But this was such a good opportunity for us, and the way we played, to stick it to them. And we didn't take it.
Right. To me, this sums up the day. So when I was there and I watched the game, I was thinking, wow, look how we're playing at Old Trafford. I can't remember the last time we played this way at Old Trafford. But Kev, as the game went on, and then when I came home and I watched the game back, I thought Ten Hag was a masterful mastermind at how he set his team up and how he lured us in and how they punished us. Christian Eriksen.
Hold on, Soph. Mm-hmm. Man United won the game.
Yeah.
Again, it comes down to who's clinical. Because if we're clinical, you don't say Ten Hag is masterful. You say we won the game because we were clinical. We took our chances. One thing we do know about Manchester United is they have got players who can hurt you if you let them.
They're going to get better as the season goes on.
Well, listen, we'll see, won't we? We're going to see about that. But for us, and this is really important point I'm going to make, for us to play against a counter-attacking team, we have to learn to make sure we stop that midfield from getting free and opening us up, because you know who we're playing in a few weeks' time who play on the counter-attack?
Tottenham.
That lot down the road. And I tell you what, Sophie, I watched the game back last night, and then after that, it twigged me to watch Man City v Spurs last season. And it's virtually identical.
Honestly, I said to my cousin George, I'm like, are we watching Tottenham or Man United? It was carbon copy. And they were playing like that at home, Kev. They were playing us on the counter at home, and it was masterful. I don't care what anyone says. Come at me, hit at me. There was a naivety to us towards the end of the game. At 1-1, you've got to know how to manage the game and close shop. You don't have to go for the jugular at Old Trafford, Kev, and win the game. I'm happy to walk away.
Sophie, hold on, Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
You said last season, why didn't we just go for it and win the game?
Against certain teams.
For it and win the game. Hold on. Now we go for it and try to win the game. You're saying we've got to manage it and see it out.
Yes, because we're top of the league. We would have had a 3-point cushion. And it's very different to doing that against certain teams. But when you can get a point at Old Trafford against a team that you should have beat there last season, and you allowed them back in the game and you gave them too much respect, to walk away with a point against one of those teams where people say that we don't have the guile to beat, it would have been a massive result for us. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, I disagree with yourself.
Okay, so let's disagree. Let's talk about this, because I think that once we lost that VAR goal, we was then climbing an uphill battle. We get back to 1-1. I just think away from home, we need to be smarter and batten down the hatches and try and go for the point against the Man United, against the Man City, against the Liverpool.
But why? Why not go for the win?
Because
we were totally dominant in that second half, totally.
And we didn't capitalize on it. So when you see
we didn't capitalize on it because at the end of the day, Sophie, you have to still try and win the game, not shut up shop.
Away from home against Manchester United, where you never get a result.
Yeah, but we were dominant. Second half, we were dominant. We were.
But we weren't capitalizing on that.
Yeah, but Sophie, that's what happens. But you still have to go for it.
Kev, when you're in a situation, and for us, in a time where everyone's saying, and I don't care, it's not the narrative about what people are saying, but when people are saying, who have you played? Who have you beaten? The darts were ready to come out. The dartboard was already hung on the wall. You're playing a resurgent Manchester United team. What I said to Dean Saunders and Natalie Sawyer on TalkSport on Sunday before I went to the game, this is a totally different Manchester United team that lost 4-0 to Brentford, and I want people to take that into consideration. So to walk away from Old Trafford with a point would not have been embarrassing. It would have been a really good result for us.
Sophie, I'm not saying us walking away with a point would be a bad result. I'm talking about actually when you look at the game, we come out in the second half and we are totally dominant.
But with no result.
No, there is a result because we're 1-0 down. We attack them, we open them up, Saka scores 1-1. You don't all of a sudden then start going back on the back foot. You do not do that. What you try and do, you go and dominate. And we had chances to win it, Sophie, but we didn't take it. And Manchester United have got that much quality. They are going to get free at some stage. And they hurt us, and we couldn't deal with it. To me, that's the bottom line. So people are telling me about, making substitutions and all that. I'm sure we might get to this. No, Mikel Arteta's down. He had to bring people on who we thought, actually, we need to nick a goal. So maybe he changed that to try and get 2-2 so we can say, okay, we'll hold this. But when we're down, we've got to try.
We've seen even Barcelona teams that have been dominant in possession and lost games in the Champions League. Possession means nothing. Being dominant means nothing if you're not finishing your chances. And it was turning out to be one of those games. So all I'm saying is that there's going to be 2 or 3 games in a season, maybe more, where you just have to be a little bit more sensible and take the point versus going gung-ho for the win. And it just felt like at 2-1, I still believed we could nick a goal. And I want you to talk about the subs, because Arteta's getting a lot of criticism for the subs today. And I've gotten a lot of criticism on Twitter for saying he's not immune to criticism, because then, of course, people come at me and say, oh, you've been waiting to put the darts in his back. You've always hated him. You've always wanted him out. Just shut up, right? This is football, and we're talking about things game by game. I tell you what I don't like, Kev, is the 5 subs. I think it forces managers into making bad decisions. Never before would an Arsenal manager make 3 subs at the same time. Never.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
maybe not, Sophie, but now he's got that opportunity to do that, to bring players who can. Because let's be honest, Smith Rowe could nick a goal. Vieira could nick a goal and create. Sorry, Smith Rowe could nick a goal and create. Vieira could come on and create. So that's 2 of the 3 players who comes on who could nick a goal and create. We are down. We're losing the game. And sometimes, what do? Do you bring them on with 5 minutes to go when there's hardly any time? At least give them a bit of time to get warm. And yeah, maybe it didn't quite work out how we would have liked. Although, Vieira had a couple of nice plays, etc. But Sophie, we weren't clinical enough. That was our problem yesterday. That was really our only problem. Because if we were as clinical as them, we win the game. But we weren't clinical. So Manchester United, they opened us up, which is fair. As I said, fair play to Manchester United because they were clinical.
So they were. And they deserve to win the game. I'm sure a lot of you will. I look forward to your comments in the YouTube section. I look forward to your comments in chat. Football is about winning games, and we didn't close. And I'm surprised that we didn't with Jesus. And here's why, Kev. That we're going to wear that boy out. He has to do way too much tracking back. He has to go way too far back to pick up the ball. He has to graft a lot. And I'm all about him doing what he's been doing, and he's brilliant. But at the sacrifice of so many times where the ball's coming into the middle, and because he's had to go here, he's not there. And that is a problem for us. Saka's positioning yesterday was horrific. Come at me, I don't care. His movement, so many times Ben White had to hold up the ball. Instead of making smart moves, moving down the channel, Kev, trying to
played well himself. I thought he played well.
I thought he was better in the second half, right? But Kev, there was so he's too stagnant and too predictable sometimes. And there were times where he had that young player on his,
Malacia.
spinning, Malacia on, spinning a plate. And yes, he was in the right place at the right time to score the goal, but his shots are weak sauce. Put your laces through it. I'm sorry, I know he's a Hale End boy and he's not also immune to criticism, but there were a lot of times in that game where Ben White had to hold up the ball so many times because he wasn't making those inventive runs. And I think that I don't know. I know that you think Saka played well, but I think he had that player in the palm of his hand, but the end result wasn't always productive. It should have been more productive considering how much he dominated him.
Yeah, but that's football, Soph. That's football. Not every time you're going to be as productive as you should be. For me, I thought Saka, and happy birthday to Saka today, by the way. I thought Saka had one of his best games of the season, if I'm honest. I thought he was direct. He was cutting inside and he was linking play up. I thought he done well to score the goal. Can he be more productive? Yes, of course he can, Sophie. I agree he can be. But I don't think the fact that Ben White's holding the ball and he's not making a move is the be-all and end-all. I don't see that. Because what tends to happen is we go down this side, they adjust, then we play around and go out the other side. I get that. And it's very rare that Saka will make a move when it's stagnant on one side. Where's he running to? Because everybody's in position. So that's why they try to play out and go out the other side. When the ball comes from the left to come round, that's when you kind of see Saka go and spin and he gets it in behind. So I understand what you're saying, Soph. I do. And yes, he can be more productive, but I thought he was pretty direct and I thought he was quite good. Could he be more productive? 100%.
So one of the other issues, and I want to talk about this because Gunnar says we need to be more route one away and not commit too early. We way overpassed. Well, can I just touch on what he's saying? There was so many passes yesterday, and like I said, 47 touches in the penalty box, way too many, Kev. But when and I hear you, a lot of you saying you think Saka played his best game. Yeah. That's fine. I mean, that's the beauty of football, right? I didn't see it that way. I thought that he had good moments, but I think he was wasteful with the ball.
I
think I'm harsh.
6 games in.
And you guys think he needs a rest. This is, I get it. We see things differently. That's the beauty of the game. But Kev, when Odegaard passed that ball right down the middle into the penalty box to Jesus, that's what created our goal, our equaliser. Yeah. We don't do that enough. Why don't we do that enough?
Yeah, but the opening has to be there to do it. The opening has to be there to be able to do that. And when it did happen and it opened up, he played it. We got in and scored. Great, 1-1. But in a game, there ain't a lot of opportunities where you get to play through teams because they're smart. They know what you want to do to them. We would love Odegaard in that position all the time trying to play balls through. But the opposition are going to stop. They're going to block. They're going to foul you. They're going to make life very difficult for you. And, we got the opportunity. And let's be honest, Soph, we had quite a few chances where we got into the box, cut the ball back, and for us to finish, and we fluffed it 3-4 times. You usually get 1 or 2 a game, maximum, let alone 4. Again, it always boils down to that, Sophie. If you don't take your chances, you're going to be in trouble.
So, second and third goal. Mm-hmm. Our line was right at the halfway line. It was so naive. We got exposed. Ericsson had us we were puppets on a string. Puppets on a string. Got exposed. Gabriel didn't have a great game. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. Got exposed. It felt like for goal 2 and 3, the hole between the midfield and the back line was the size of the Grand Canyon. Ramsdale had no chance with any of the goals. He was totally exposed. What's your thought on how high we played, how exposed we were, and of course the Thomas Partey would probably have helped in that situation. Sambi's getting a lot of slack today, Kev. I don't think we lost because of Sambi.
Sambi was fine. Sambi was fine. And what people have to understand is you're playing against quality as well. The opposition are going to get chances to hurt you. You think about it. After the first 10, 15 minutes, Arsenal were dominant, really. We were dominant. We dominated the game. So when the game starts to open up, that's where Manchester United thrive, because the game starts to become stretched. And they have got players who can hurt you, not only with ability passing, but with movement. And the second goal for Rashford, where he made that run on the inside, and who was it? Fernandes, outside of the foot.
It was a great pass.
Great pass, diagonal run. That kills any defense, if I'm honest with you. It kills any defense. Could we defend it better? 100% we could defend it better, Sophie. And you know what? That's after that one and the second one, that's why I went back and I watched the Man City versus Spurs game. Because Man City got caught exactly the same. You watch it. Probably don't want to watch them. But I'm watching it because we play a bit like City. We keep the ball when we dominate it. But when you turn it over, Sophie, it's when we turn it over. We are at our most vulnerable.
SJ, no one's trying to scapegoat players here. What do you mean? Do you think it's the manager's fault? I mean, you explain that to us, because there were mistakes. There was mistakes and I thought actually Ben White had a good game for most of the game, but Ben White made a mistake. Gabriel made a mistake. I argued all the way home with my cousin over Saliba because I thought it was one of his poorest games, even though he controlled a lot of what was happening in terms of masterminding the ball, taking it up to the halfway line, Kev, ping, ping, ping. There was no killer pass. I thought Odegaard was too much touching the ball, not releasing the ball early enough. I think we whiffed on a lot of those opportunities. And here's why I'm saying this, guys. We kind of got away with it against Fulham. In the second half against Aston Villa, it was a bit squeaky bum time towards the end. And I think we need to improve our game management. We need to improve how we close games, Kev. Do you agree with me on that one?
So, against Aston Villa and against Fulham, if we're clinical, the game is over in the first half. It's both of them teams. The problem is, like we always discuss, if you do not take your chances, get your noses way in front so you can have an easy day, it can get difficult. Against Fulham, we should have been 4-0 up in the first half. We don't take our chances. We make a mistake at the back. Next minute, we're 1-0 down. We showed fantastic spirit to fight our way back, which is great. Against Aston Villa, the game should have been over, so first half. It should be 2-3-0. Yeah. But again, it becomes a grind if we don't take our chances. And I think then we get onto the likes of it does become squeaky bum time and it starts to get difficult and tight. Why? Because we want to win and the opposition think, you know what, we've got them now. Because there's not one opponent who won't have a bit of the game. This is what we've got to realize. We can't dominate and just go on and win the game. It's impossible, especially when you play against the top teams. Because you know what? The top teams don't need a lot of the ball. All they need is the opportunity to play through you and they will kill you. And that's what happened to us.
Exactly.
So, look,
go on, Kev. I was going to say to Lone Star, we just won 5 games, game management. The Fulham and Villa games, we kind of got away with it in the end. Crystal Palace, we were dominant. Bournemouth, we were dominant. We rocked those games. Which game am I missing, Kev? Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Villa, Fulham, Man United. I'm missing one.
Yeah.
The squaddies will tell me I'm having a bit of a brain fart. Yeah. And here's the scoop. I'm coming from the fact that we were playing against Manchester United. What an opportunity to not lose that game, to walk away with something. That's what Leicester, thank you. To walk away with something, Kev. That's why I'm saying this, because process leads to progress. I still support and I stand by my comments about how Mikel and Edu have turned this team around, the culture around, all of those things. Just because I'm saying like we made some fundamental mistakes in this game and we have naivety doesn't mean I don't recognize what they've done to get the team to this point. But at some point, losing that game to Man City at the Emirates, that was harsh. You've got to learn from that and move on. You know, we can go to Chelsea and win. I thought this was a missed opportunity to put a marker down and tell everyone, you know what? No. You've taken the piss out of who we've played and we're top of the league. We're going to Man United and we're going to get something out of this game. And I just felt like we just, in the end, whiffed on it a little bit with the missed chances, with the high line, with the naivety at the back, and with like going too gung-ho with the substitutions.
So look, at the end of the day, I like the team. I like when the team go for it. I like when the team try and win. And when you try and win, then you're more vulnerable to lose. That's the name of the game. Honestly, that is the name of the game. If you're trying to win, then you still leave yourself a bit vulnerable if they break through your lines. That could happen. They're a quality team, and we got caught. But I tell you, like I said before, I'm not despondent at all, Soph, because this team.
I'm not saying I'm despondent.
No, I know. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying I'm not despondent. This is our 6th game together. This team. Only the 6th game. It's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. And they're still learning each other. They're still learning. They're still understanding. This team is only going to get better as well, Soph. Mm-hmm. It is only going to get better. We are going to get more clinical because we have to. We have to get more clinical. And we will get more clinical. And I tell you this much, Sophie. If I hear people saying it's Sambi's fault one more time, I'm going to go absolutely mental. Sambi had a good game.
Zinchenko put him in that tough spot, but Sambi shouldn't have passed forward. He should have just gone back on that first goal, Kev.
Look, he made the decision.
Sorry, on the second goal.
Yeah, but he made a decision. But it's going to happen. You can't tell me players are always going to keep the ball. They're going to make mistakes because you're trying to play progressive. It's going to happen. If we take our chances, we're not even having this conversation. But this is football. This is high-level football. We end up getting caught out by Manchester United.
Here's what I'm tired of hearing, and Matty K, I love you, but it's things like this. 9 times out of 10, Odegaard puts that chance away. 9 times out of 10, we go away with this. 9 times out of 10, no, it's now. The time is now. Enough. This is a team that needs to start winning or getting points against teams like Man United away from home. Just get me 1 point. Enough with the excuses. Sorry. At some point, we've got to start being more mature and smarter about how we play teams like that. Because in the end, it will cost us. I'll take a bet right now with everyone. We will not win 1 game away from home against Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. I think we got a shot at, and Tottenham. We will not win those games, and I'm not saying we'll lose them, but we will not win them because we can't play like that against those teams, Kev.
Well, we can play like that, but we've got to be more clinical. If we're clinical, we're fine.
But we weren't clinical. We also left gaps in midfield, and we left Grand Canyon gaps at the back. So it was a combination of the three. It's not like the defense played really well and the forward line whiffed.
Sophie, you can't have it all. You can't have it all. You can't have it all. You can't say we need to manage the game and we need to take a point and then say, right, we've got to go for the win. What is it? It's either we go for the win. Or we sit back. We are not a sit back type of team. We haven't got that type of players to sit back, Soph. I don't think we have. I think we've got a progressive team that have to actually go for it. What do you think? Because us sitting back, defending all game, no.
I love the bravado, Kevin, the bravery and the courage. But remember last season when I would get emotional about things, and we had honest conversations about, as fans, you get a bit too emotional. When I watched All or Nothing, every single episode, Arteta's talking about emotion. And maybe our team's gotten a little bit too emotional, and we just need to crank it down a notch. Be a bit more ruthless, a little bit more ice cold, a little bit like, blue veins type thing. And I fear that we're going to go gung-ho too often and lose points because of it. And the only reason I'm talking about this is because I'm talking specifically, so please don't misinterpret me, everybody, against teams like United, Liverpool, Man City, where we are expected and everyone is saying they're going to be the same because they can't get points out of these teams. That's what I'm talking about.
But we'll have to see, because we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. You're saying that because the history says we don't get anything. But you know what? I saw enough yesterday. On another day. Again, it wasn't our day yesterday because we didn't take our chances. And we didn't deserve it in the end. But we play like that and we take our chances, we'll be hard to beat.
I see what you're saying. And I'm not overlooking the obvious, because you know why? If we took our chances, we may have won. But the point is, Lone Star, that I'm making is the midfield was absent and the back line was absent. And when you have a trifecta, can't finish your chances, midfield is absent, defense is exposed, no, you cannot win the game.
How was the midfield absent, Soph? How was it?
I thought that
you don't dominate the game. You don't dominate the game having an absent midfield.
No, but I felt like we left gaping holes that exposed Gabriel and Saliba. I felt like we made
but that was late in the game when the game starts to become stretched. But from probably up until the 70th minute or so, they weren't hurting us.
Guna Russ, I was proud of how we played. But at some point, this isn't a participation. Participation's for kids. Winning is for men and women. Okay? Arsenal Football Club cannot continue to be a participation team. We've got to crank it up a notch. If this was Brighton or Southampton or Crystal Palace, games we lost last season, it would be like, oh, here we go again, like losing. We've got to make that progression and get points against these kinds of teams. So I'm not saying the sky's falling. I'm just saying after playing the way we did and doing the things we did, to walk away from that game with a big fat 0, that's really disappointing. Really disappointing.
It is. And like I said, because we weren't clinical in the game, Sophie, that's why we walk away with nothing. At the end of the day, that's the bottom line, Sophie. We were dominant, we kept the ball, we played well, we created chances, but when you don't take it, it don't mean anything.
And also, Ian, I love playing the what if game, but Partey wasn't playing.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't. And we have to, as a team, this is why, look, I thought we had a really good transfer window. And who knew these injuries would happen so quickly? But the club have known that Thomas Partey is injury prone. And Kev said it over and over again from last December. We need 8 players. And he had 2 strikers. He had 2 midfielders. He had a left back. He had a right back. He even had the backup centre back, an attacking winger. And the club knew this about Thomas Partey. And they didn't do what they had to do to make sure that there was quality coming in. Then El Neni gets injured, who many Arsenal fans don't think is the answer, Kev. And then you've got Sambi Lokonga, who cannot be the fall guy here. Do not kill Sambi Lokonga.
I thought he's done well in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Honestly. Made a mistake for one of the goals, which can happen. But I thought he's surprised me how mature he's played against Villa and Manchester United.
Yeah. Kev, how would you summarize this before we depart? I've got a pajama jam Greek feast fiesta to go to, and Super Kev's work continues, folks.
Straight after. How would I summarize it? I'd summarize it like this. Arsenal going to Manchester United was the big challenge. That was the hurdle. They've jumped over a few hurdles, played good football, dominated possession. But what counts and where we failed was sticking the ball away. And that's something we really have to work on at the top end of the pitch, because it doesn't make sense us dominating the ball like we do, us creating those chances and us not putting teams away. Because the better teams, as you see, can hurt you in a second. They can hurt you. This is one hurdle we haven't got over again. But it is only 6 games, and I believe this team's going to really improve. I really do. I think this will hurt the team a lot. It will hurt the team. And you know what? We go again Thursday, Soph. This is the name of the game. We dust ourselves down and we move forward.
And I guess my issue is that wasn't even the best of the Manchester United team we've seen. It was a Manchester United team that is just coming together. 3 games on, they've won 4. They've got 12 points. 4 threes are 12. You know, very different team. But you can see, I would like to end on Anthony is the biggest WANKER I have seen in the Premier League for a really, really long time. His foot flick over the ball in front of Zinchenko. I think Zinchenko got subbed because he was going to punch that guy in the end. Kev, he is a total tosser. And the way he celebrated, he was goading the Arsenal fans. And then how did he not get a yellow card for all of his crap? That's another thing.
Well, tell me again, we've discussed referees. It's no, you know what, Sophie? He was holding the game up.
Totally.
He was holding the game up. The referee, look, let's not even get into the referees because it's no point, Soph. It's no point. You can't win when you play the officials as well. You can't win. You can't win when you play the officials as well. Let's get it right.
Someone is going to was it Forrest who said to Richarlison, "Not on our watch, mate. You ain't doing that to us."
Yeah, give him some afters.
Oh, he's an instant hate figure, and he's going to get. Trust me, there will be one thing every club has in common in the Premier League, and that is the dislike for Anthony. It was appalling, and the referee should have booked him. But then again, didn't happen. That's all we got time for today, you guys. I travel home tomorrow, back to Vinny and Vesper and Tony.
Safe journey, so please have a safe journey.
Thank you. And that's all I would like to do. And look, there were great moments in the game. I mean, when we equalized, I really thought we were going to go on and get that. When we went 2-1 down as well, I thought we would get that second goal. Unfortunately, we had to deal with situations like this, but another lesson learned for our club. And hopefully we go back, we roll towards the Everton match. And, after that, Kev, we've got some big, big fixtures, don't we? That we have to get our minds back in the game. And now we've got European football added into the mix as well.
They're all big. Now we've got to get some of them fringe players minutes in their legs. We've got to get them minutes in their legs so they're up to speed. So whenever we do need to make a change, they're right up to speed. Because let's be honest, Smith hasn't played enough, Vieira hasn't played enough, etc. We need to get them minutes, games in their legs, and then we're going to be all right, Soph.
Kev, Smith Rowe got injured in a warm down.
Well, it's not a warm down because what they do, they run after the game. Right. See, so they do fitness work after the game.
Right.
And that's where it happened. They call it a warm down because it's after the game, but it wasn't a warm down. I tell you, they do some high intensity stuff. Trust me.
Kevin Campbell's going to have a few derbies this season. That's for sure, Danny.
Yeah.
And he's been kept very busy. All right, everybody. We will see you Wednesday. Show will be back live on Wednesday. Tomorrow is a travel day, as you know. And then we'll be coming live to you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. We'll make up for lost time for each and every one of you. Thanks so much for your lovely birthday messages. Kev, the Gooners v Cancer event was incredible. We raised money and we had a great panel. If you want to see that, go over to the Gooners podcast and check that out as well. Lynn, thank you so much for the flowers. Mark B, thank you for the champagne. Carol, thank you for the card. Jags, thank you for the card. Kev, they came loaded. The stories came loaded. It was really quite wonderful. There was so many of them there. And if I've not mentioned your name, I know that you're emailing me and you're going to come on one of our fan shows so we can have a chat with Super Kev as well. There was a lot of love for you in the room as well, Super Kev. So it was a great night. Thanks to everybody who came out. Really was special. Kev, take us out.
Right. Listen, squaddies, it didn't go according to plan as we would have liked last night. But you know what? We're still top of the league and European football starts on Thursday. So let's get behind the boys. Tell people you love them, especially your loved ones. And you know what, squaddies? Safe travels for Sophie back home. And at ease, squaddies. At ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
I have to say, Lynn also bought me a travel hairdresser, a hairdryer.
Hairdryer, oh my God. Well, she ain't going to buy me one, is she? I mean, let's be honest.
Thanks to Zenith Coins as well, guys, our partners this season, the official license partner of the Arsenal Football Club. We love you. We'll see you Wednesday.
The Highbury Squad is powered by Zenith Coins. Support the future, treasure the past. Official license partner of the Arsenal Football Club. Follow at Zenith Coins across all social platforms.